Money at the Wayne County Jail is so tight these days that Sheriff Benny Napoleon said he'd have to let out 1,000 accused criminals just to meet budget.
I don't think anybody sitting at this table wants to go back into their community and say, we released 1,000 dangerous murders, rapists, robbers, carjackers, B&E men, child molesters, spouse abusers back into your community.
So when the department couldn't afford to keep paying its gas card bills, it probably shouldn't have caught our attention, but it did. We wanted to see just who's getting free gas at the county these days. Indeed, some of the department's 90 or so cards are assigned to officers who need to drive a lot, like those in drug enforcement and parks patrol. But others on this list are more curious. Lawyers, administrators, and command staff who don't respond to 911 and aren't on the road very much. Here are just a few. Ursula Henry is a lawyer for the department. Her bio says she works on contracts, labor agreements, and most recently, the failed jail project. She's not an officer, doesn't carry a gun, but has racked up some of the largest gas bills that you've been paying. $306 worth last year in May, $345 in August. Month after month, she kept charging you for her gas, until officials realized this spring she shouldn't have had that county car in the first place. They took her keys and then her card.
All the little details add up. I mean, there's a cumulative value to everything.
Under Sheriff Dan Faunus acknowledges that even a few $1,000s in waste a month is still enough to worry about. But he says the sheriff believes paying for an employee's gas, even if they mostly just drive to and from home, is worth it if a 9/11 type event ever happens here.
By having people with vehicles, by having people with access to gas, it fits into his business model of being able to have people respond at any moment of any time.
But what sort of emergencies is James Spivey responding to? He's also a lawyer who oversees the Sheriff's Court Services Division. Other than a couple of meetings a month just a few miles from his downtown office, he told me by phone that he pretty much sticks to his desk. His biggest daily drive? 86 miles to and from his home in Ann Arbor.
Have you looked at his bills?
No,
Would you like to?
not necessarily.
Well, you might want to take a look. $505 in February last year, $521 later on that April, and in August, $684 in gas alone. He filled up 13 times that month, 186 gallons in all. At his county vehicle's 21 miles per gallon, that's nearly 4,000 miles traveled in just 1 month, nearly enough to drive from Detroit to Las Vegas and back.
4,000 miles in a month?
Yeah.
On the one hand, that sounds like a lot of miles. On the other hand, I don't know what he was tasked with doing during that month.
Well, we wanted to find out, but Spivey wouldn't agree to talk to us on camera. So we found him outside his office as he was about to rack up a few more miles. You've got some of the highest gas bills in the county, sir. Where are you driving, sir?
Talk to my...
By phone, Spivey did say that once every 7 weeks he's on call as a duty officer, responding to any emergencies inside the department. For his last stint, he said, there were none. But it's always important to be ready.
If you don't have a good answer, it's always good to throw public safety in the public's face.
Wayne County Commissioner Ray Basham isn't buying it. He chairs the county's audit committee, and as we speak, county investigators are probing the use of the sheriff's gas cards, looking for waste.
Everybody, it seems like, that works for the Sheriff's Department is driving a car home, even if they work in an office all day. It's troubling to see these reports on the news media and us not trying to address them as commissioners.
Commissioner Ray Basham was watching 7 Action News last week, and he wasn't the only one. Auditors from the county commission were taking notes too, and their report today probing the use of county gas cards and take-home vehicles was blunt.
It sounds like it's chaotic. I mean, that's the impression that I'm getting by listening to your responses to the questions.
The audit documented what we first reported, that some administrators and employees who largely work in an office have been billing the county for hundreds of dollars a month in fuel charges. In 1 month, lawyer James Spivey billed the county for more than $600 in gas alone. In their report, auditors questioned why 9 officials that do administrative work were averaging between $200 and $800 a month in gas. The 33-page report said the department failed to implement necessary safeguards, too, like requiring monthly usage reports and maintaining organized receipts. In some cases, officials failed to show why employees needed a gas card and vehicle in the first place. All those shortcomings, the audit concludes, substantially increases the risk that fraud or abuse could occur and go undetected.
By and large, we agree with what's in the audit. We have deficiencies. We recognize it, and we've put some things in place. At least we're organizing to put some things in place to address these.
Administration Director Sue Hall took most of the heat today for Sheriff Napoleon, who was not at today's meeting. But she said her department knows where each of its take-home vehicles is at any given time. But moments later, she and another official were confused about just how many take-home vehicles there are, either 58 or 84.
My list right here says take-home vehicles is 58. So I want to not stay on the record it's 84. I want to go back and take a look.
And I don't want to go further into that now, but the fact that two numbers have come out with a difference of 30 also indicates that we have an issue here.
Some officials used county gas to cover their drive to and from home. Lawyer James Spivey racked up 86 miles a day going to and from Ann Arbor. When Press Director Paula Bridges had a card, she used 1,100 miles of gas a month just on her daily commute. But, she said, that's not all she did.
These activities that we attend to, they're not limited to law enforcement incidents. They are community meetings. They are public meetings where we are requested to be there.
Bridges says Sheriff Napoleon wants many officials to have county-paid gas because it means they'll be ready at any given moment if a 9/11 type event ever happens here. That being said, his office told frustrated commissioners that there's still fat to be cut.
I can absolutely make a statement that there will probably be changes and a reduction in take-home vehicles.
So after all this, what is Sheriff Benny Napoleon saying about these free rides? Well, coming up at 6, we'll talk to him one-on-one. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News. There was no apology from Wayne County's top cop, but in the wake of our investigation and a county audit, he says change may be coming.
There are issues here, and you've given me something to think about.
More than something to think about, commissioners and county auditors are hoping Sheriff Benny Napoleon takes action by trimming down who in his department gets free vehicles to take home and gas carts to fill them up with. An audit released today questioned why a slew of officials with administrative duties are racking up hundreds of dollars in gas bills each month, often just to pay for driving to and from home. Napoleon said today that those expenses are warranted so his staff can be prepared to respond to an emergency.
I know there are people who don't understand it, but I do. This is what I've done for 40 years, and we're going to be prepared to respond.
For the first time, he responded to findings in our investigation about some of his own employees' vehicle use. In August of last year, county lawyer James Spivey racked up nearly 4,000 miles worth of gas and billed it to you. Have you asked James Spivey what he was doing in August that racked up 4,000 miles?
I've had that conversation with him.
And what was he doing?
I've had that conversation with him, and he's going to explain that to me further.
Are you concerned about that?
I'm absolutely concerned about it.
Still, Napoleon defended paying for officials' gas, even if they're mostly using it to commute home. So if 364 days out of the year we're just paying for James Spivey to go to and from home, that's a justifiable expense to you?
We're not just paying for him to go to and from home. We're paying for him to be prepared to respond to an emergency if it occurs. Again, it may never happen.
Napoleon says he doesn't owe anyone an apology, but he may owe you a check. When I asked him if he used his county vehicle and gas during his campaign for mayor, he said that he did. But state law says using public resources like a vehicle for political purposes is outlawed. Is that proper to be using a county vehicle?
Absolutely. I'm still a sheriff. I still have responsibilities to respond.
But you were campaigning.
Yes. The president campaigned and he used the plane.
I understand.
Because he's still the president.
And were you ever using county gas?
Of course. I'm still the sheriff. I still did my job as the sheriff, Ross.
Yesterday, Benny Napoleon told me he did nothing wrong, but after a phone call from a powerful county watchdog, he decided, well, maybe he had. Is that proper to be using a county vehicle?
Absolutely. I'm still the sheriff. I still have responsibilities to respond.
But you were campaigning.
Yes. The president campaigned and he used the plane.
I understand.
Because he's still the president.
But Benny Napoleon is not the president, and today he was reminded when County Auditor General Willie Mayo gave his office a call. Mayo saw our story last night and said the sheriff was wrong. He needs to reimburse the taxpayers for all of his use of his county SUV, a white GMC Yukon that Napoleon admitted to using throughout his failed run for mayor. Yesterday he said it was no big deal.
I'm still the sheriff. I still did my job as the sheriff, Ross.
Well, less than 24 hours later came this press release saying taxpayers shouldn't be footing the bill for Napoleon's mayoral campaign travel, and he'd write a check as soon as the Auditor General told him how much was owed. County records show Napoleon is routinely one of the biggest users of his county fuel card. In April, he billed you almost $800 for 250 gallons of gas. Later in June, another $800 bill for 248 gallons. Yesterday, before news of Napoleon's misuse of his county car was revealed, commissioners told his staff it's time to rein in their spending.